So our next speaker, another person, Her Grace Jaya Sri Devi. She had a lot of association of Srila Prabhupada. She met Srila Prabhupada in 1969 in Hawaii. So we are very fortunate to have her here with us today. She'll be our next speaker. She will share her personal encounter with Srila Prabhupada. So, Jaya Sri Devi Dasi. Hare Krishna.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Srila Prabhupada's house. It says that Srila Prabhupada built a house which the whole world could live in. And, excuse me. There's just so much to say. He said 3 to 5 minutes. It's probably not possible to say much in 3 to 5 minutes about Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada came to America on a mission. Srila Prabhupada's whole life was meant for this mission, and his whole life was set up in such a way that he could fulfill this mission. He met his spiritual master when he was very young, and from the time he met him, he imbibed the mission from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, and that was the focus of his whole life. And he often used to say that one's spiritual success is in following the instruction, and he said specific instruction of their spiritual master. So Srila Prabhupada came with great determination, like a great warrior. He came across the ocean with no money to America, of all places. We wouldn't even go to town without a pocket full of money and a credit card, but Srila Prabhupada came over with his trunk of books. Actually, he had 3 or 4 trunks of books. So many books, they hardly knew what to do with them on the ship. He came with $7 or $7 worth of rupees, and he came to a foreign country that was totally different from what he had left. But Srila Prabhupada's faith in the words of his spiritual master and in the mission of Krishna, that was his guiding light. So Srila Prabhupada landed, and he came to Butler, Pennsylvania, very unassuming. And when we hear from Sally Agarwal, she explains how Srila Prabhupada didn't know how to do anything in America, how to wash his clothes. He washed them in the bathtub. When we were at the apartment, Bhakti Marg explained how he used to put them out on the grass like they do in India. Srila Prabhupada, who would do this? Who would come to a foreign country? But Srila Prabhupada, because he was a general in Lord Chaitanya's army, he came here with full faith in the mission that he knew that he had to fulfill. And he didn't stop under any condition, under conditions that hardly anyone would go on, living with a drug addict in New York, walking the streets of New York, not knowing anybody, not having any money, not having money in the bank. He knew that Krishna had a plan for him, and he was determined to see that through. So because of Srila Prabhupada's humility and his determination, his knowledge, his faith, his love, stories about Prabhupada talking about it's our duty to preach to the ant. The living entities that are on the planet, they're undergoing so much suffering. And it's the consciousness of the people, the lack of faith, the lack of God consciousness. And Srila Prabhupada knew that, and he knew that America was very backwards. Mother Teresa talked about the poorness of the rich countries. And America is one of those top, affluent, ignorant countries that doesn't have that deep love. Where do we see God? In our society or on our television. The world is suffering due to the lack of this God consciousness, and Srila Prabhupada knew that. And he came here at the risk of everything, simply to enlighten people that the human life is meant for God consciousness. This is your number 1 mission. It's not number 10 on the list. It's not 100 on the list. It's not what we do when we have nothing else to do or we're suffering. It's number 1. And he said, everything we have are zeros. Our money, our family, our possessions, our body, our intelligence, our education means absolutely nothing without that one of God or Krishna in the beginning. And if you have that, and if you see Prabhupada, he said, then you have 100,000 million, and his eyes opened very big. Because with Krishna, with God in the front, we have everything. We can save the planet. We can save so many other living entities. We simply have to do it. And Srila Prabhupada did it. He took up the mission. He did it very strongly and with great determination. And if he would have died in America, he still would have been satisfied that he satisfied his obligation to a spiritual master. It's not that we have to become a big anybody, a big preacher, a big Swami, a big book distributor. Prabhupada didn't do that. He didn't come to America saying, I'm a big man. He came as the most humble servant of the servant. And it's because of that that we follow him. It's not because he was a big man. It's because he preached to the derelicts, the hippies, the drug addicts. He didn't go to the affluent part of town and put on a suit and preach to the rich people so he could get their money. He preached to the people who had nothing. They had no God consciousness, they had no clean life, and he lived with them. You hear stories of him standing in line at the first temple in New York, standing in line with his disciples to take a bath. Not that he was the big man, you do it my way. He was the servant of everybody. He cooked for them. He cleaned up after them. This is Srila Prabhupada. It's not that he sat on a big chair and had all this fanfare and he was a great Swami and that was Prabhupada. Prabhupada, when I met Srila Prabhupada, the movement just started in Hawaii. He was sitting at a desk that was a piece of plywood on 4 bricks. They had nothing. And I was very satisfied with that. And Srila Prabhupada, I watched the movement expand, the money come, the temples grow. This is fantastic. My God, look at what we have. All over the world, we can go anywhere and find devotees, people that are interested in spiritual life. We have festivals, we have books, we have everything to help us in this life to become God conscious. Prabhupada was crying alone in the wilderness of America. He had nothing, but he had God, and that's what he gave us. So it's our duty, it's our love, it's our hope, it's our future. It's our ticket back to the spiritual world, if that's where we want to go, or our ticket to preach life after life with Srila Prabhupada and Lord Chaitanya's followers. We're so fortunate, so we simply have to take up the mission seriously, follow, give up our bad habits, take on what's good for our spiritual life, and give up what is unnecessary. And we'll make progress, and our love will increase. The world will change. Prabhupada helped so much to change this planet already. It's our turn to carry on. So my 3 to 5 minutes is probably up by now. And before I get the hook, I'll leave it at that. And thank you so much, everybody, for your association. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada.